Hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's story. Your likes and subscriptions can give me hope to create better stories and let me know what changes you'd like me to make to my voice. Alright, now let's get to tonight's story. Chapter 1. Dawn's Gentle Awakening, the Reed Hut by the Canal. You wake slowly, peacefully, to the soft rustle of reeds around your floating home. The morning light filters gently through the woven reed walls, casting dancing shadows that sway like water ripples across your sleeping mat. Your small hut rocks ever so slightly on the calm waters of the canal, a gentle motion that has cradled your dreams all through the night. You breathe deeply, inhaling the sweet scent of marsh flowers and clean water. The air carries hints of lotus blossoms and wild mint, plants that grow freely along these ancient waterways of Assyria. These canals have flowed for thousands of years, carrying life and sustenance to the great cities of Nineveh and Babylon. Your reed hut is simple, beautiful in its simplicity. The walls are woven from kasab reeds, the same golden reeds that have grown in these marshlands since the time of Sargon of Akkad. Each reed was cut at the perfect moment when the moon was waning, ensuring they would remain strong and flexible for many seasons. The floor beneath you is covered with soft woven mats, made from palm fronds and dyed with gentle colours from madder root and saffron. These natural dyes create warm hues of amber and deep rose, colours that seem to glow softly in the early morning light. You stretch slowly, feeling the gentle warmth of the sun as it rises over the vast network of canals and floating gardens. This, through the small window of your hut, you can see the floating gardens beginning their daily awakening. These artificial islands, called chinampas by some travellers from distant lands, float peacefully on the calm water. Each garden is a masterpiece of ancient engineering, built from layers of mud and decaying vegetation, held together by the roots of willow trees and water-loving plants. You sit up slowly, allowing your body to wake naturally. There is no hurry in this peaceful place, no urgent demands pulling you from rest. The rhythm of life here follows the gentle pulse of the water, the slow dance of seasons, the patient growth of healing herbs and nourishing plants. Your hands find the small clay cup beside your sleeping mat. It holds cool water drawn from the canal at sunset, water that has been purified by passing through beds of sand and charcoal. You drink slowly. The sound of water lapping against your hut creates a soft percussion, a natural music that accompanies the dawn chorus of marsh birds. Herons call in the distance, their voices deep and melodious. Smaller birds twitter and chirp from the reed beds, creating a symphony that speaks of peace and abundance. You stand slowly, your bare feet touching the cool woven mat. Through the doorway of your hut, you can see other herbalists and garden tenders beginning their gentle morning routines. Smoke rises from small cooking fires, carrying the comforting scent of barley porridge and herbal teas. This floating community has existed for generations, a place where those who work with plants and healing come to study and practice their ancient arts. Here knowledge is shared freely like the flowing water. Elder herbalists teach younger ones, passing down wisdom that stretches back to the earliest days of Mesopotamian civilization. You move to your small collection of clay pots and woven baskets, each one carefully labelled with cuneiform symbols pressed into soft clay tablets. These containers hold your precious supplies: dried herbs and powdered roots, seeds and blossoms gathered from the floating gardens and wild marshlands. One basket contains dried chamomile flowers, their sweet apple-like scent still strong despite months of careful storage. Another holds powdered willow bark, a remedy for pain and fever known to Assyrian healers for over 1,000 years. A small clay pot protects precious saffron threads, more valuable than gold, traded from distant Persian mountains. You select a few chamomile flowers, placing them gently in your palm. Their dried petals are still beautiful, cream-coloured with tiny yellow centres. You add a pinch of dried mint leaves, their cool fragrance mingling with the chamomile's warmth. This will make a perfect morning tea, one that will prepare your mind and body for the day's gentle work. The small brazier in your hut holds embers from last night's fire, carefully banked with ash to preserve the coals. You blow gently on the embers, watching them glow brighter orange. Then add small twigs of dried tamarisk wood. The fire catches slowly, naturally, without hurry or force. You place your small bronze pot on the fire, adding clear canal water and your selected herbs. As the water begins to warm, steam rises carrying the mingled fragrances of chamomile and mint. The scent fills your small hut, creating an atmosphere of calm and preparation. While your tea warms, you step outside onto the small platform that surrounds your hut. The morning air is fresh and clean, carrying the sounds and scents of the awakening marsh community. Other herbalists move quietly about their morning tasks, some tending small gardens on their floating platforms, others preparing medicines or sorting dried herbs. The water around your hut is clear and calm, reflecting the soft colours of dawn. Small fish dart beneath the surface, their scales catching glints of sunlight. Water lilies float nearby, their broad leaves providing resting places for dragonflies and small frogs. These creatures are your neighbours, part of the living ecosystem that makes this floating world possible. You return to your hut as your tea reaches the perfect temperature. The liquid is pale golden, with small flowers and leaves floating on its surface. You strain it gently through a piece of fine linen Then pour the fragrant brew into your favorite cup, a piece of simple pottery glazed in soft blue-green. You sit cross-legged on your mat, holding the warm cup in both hands. The first sip is perfect, mild and soothing, with the gentle sweetness of chamomile and the cool freshness of mint. You drink slowly, mindfully, allowing the herbs to calm your nervous system and prepare your spirit for the day ahead. Through your window, you watch the sun climb higher over the floating gardens. The light grows stronger but remains gentle, filtered through morning mist and reflected from the water's surface. This soft illumination reveals the incredible diversity of plants growing on the floating islands. Vegetables and herbs, flowers and fruit trees, all thriving in this unique environment. You finish your tea slowly, then rinse your cup with canal water. Every action is performed with calm attention, part of the meditative practice that governs life in this peaceful community. There is wisdom in moving slowly, in paying attention to small details, in honoring the simple tasks that sustain daily life. You gather your supplies for the day, selecting items you might need while visiting the floating gardens. A small knife for harvesting, made of bronze and shaped by skilled metalworkers in distant Babylon. A collection of small baskets woven from palm fronds, perfect for carrying herbs and seeds. A water gourd covered in soft leather to provide refreshment during your travels. As you prepare to leave your hut, you pause for a moment of gratitude. You place your palms together over your heart, closing your eyes, feeling appreciation for the peaceful night's rest, the clean water, the floating home that rocks you gently like a caring mother. This moment of mindfulness connects you to the ancient traditions of your calling. Herbalists have always begun their days with gratitude, recognizing their connection to the plants they serve, the communities they heal, the natural world that provides everything needed for life and wellness. You step onto your small reed boat, a shallow craft perfectly designed for navigating the narrow channels between floating gardens. The boat responds to your movements, stable and secure, crafted by master boat builders who learned their skills from fathers and grandfathers stretching back generations. You use a long pole to push away from your hut, guiding your boat into the main canal. The water moves slowly beneath you, clear and deep, supporting not just your boat, but entire floating islands. This ancient technology represents one of humanity's earliest partnerships with natural forces, using water's buoyancy to create fertile growing space where none existed before. As you pole your boat along the canal, you move deeper into the network of floating gardens. Each island tells a story, some newly constructed with fresh mud and young plantings, Others mature and established, their surfaces rich with decades of careful cultivation. The rhythm of poling your boat creates its own meditation. Push, glide, pole up, push again. A gentle cycle that moves you forward without effort or strain. Your boat cuts silently through the water, disturbing nothing, leaving only gentle ripples that quickly smooth away. The morning grows brighter around you, but the light remains soft and peaceful. Mist rises from the water's surface, creating a dreamy atmosphere that makes the floating gardens seem like islands in the sky. This magical quality of early morning on the canals has inspired poets and storytellers for centuries, creating legends of floating paradises where mortals could glimpse the gardens of the gods. You breathe deeply as you travel, filling your lungs with clean air, feeling your body settle into the easy rhythm of the journey. Your destination is one of the oldest floating gardens, a place where experienced cultivators grow the rarest healing herbs, plants that require perfect conditions and generations of accumulated knowledge to thrive. The water carries you forward, gentle and supporting, toward new discoveries and peaceful encounters. Your eyelids grow heavy with contentment, soothed by the rocking motion of your boat. The soft sounds of water and morning birds, the gentle warmth of sunlight on your face. You drift peacefully toward the floating gardens, feeling completely safe, completely at peace, ready for whatever gentle adventures the day might bring. The canal stretches ahead, calm and inviting, leading you deeper into this ancient world of water and growing things. Your breathing slows, becomes deeper, more relaxed. The gentle motion of your boat, the soft sounds of water, the warm morning air, all combine to create a perfect sense of peace and well-being. You feel yourself floating, not just on the water. The reed beds whisper softly as your boat passes, their golden stalks bending in the gentle breeze. Small birds call from hidden nests, their voices adding to the peaceful symphony of marsh sounds. Everything in this world moves slowly, naturally, without urgency or stress. Your journey continues, unhurried and serene, carrying you toward the floating gardens, where ancient wisdom grows alongside healing herbs. The water supports you, the morning embraces you, and the gentle rhythm of travel lulls you into a state of deep calm. You pole your boat slowly, dreamily, through the morning light grows softer, more golden, filtering through mist and reflected from calm water. Your boat moves as if in a dream, carrying you forward into a day filled with quiet discoveries and healing encounters. You feel perfectly safe, perfectly calm, perfectly at peace. Your eyelids grow heavy, and the gentle motion of your boat on the calm water rocks you like a cradle. You drift into a state of perfect tranquility, ready to dream a floating garden. Chapter 2. The floating gardens among the ancient cultivators. You drift gently into consciousness, your boat moving slowly through channels lined with the most beautiful gardens you have ever seen. The floating islands stretch out around you like green jewels scattered on a mirror of calm water. Each garden is a masterpiece, carefully tended by generations of cultivators who have perfected the ancient art of growing plants on floating soil. You pole your boat slowly, quietly, between the gardens. The soft splash of your pole in the water creates gentle ripples that catch the morning light. Small fish dart away from your boat's shadow, their scales flashing silver as they disappear into the clear depths. The nearest garden belongs to old Nabu Rimani, a master cultivator whose family has tended floating gardens for 12 generations. His island is perhaps 50 feet long and 30 feet wide. Its surface covered with the most diverse collection of plants you have ever seen in one place. You guide your boat to the small wooden dock that extends from Nabu Ramani's garden. He looks up from his work and smiles, his weathered face creased with lines that speak of decades spent in sun and gentle weather. His hands are stained green from handling plants, and his movements have the slow precision of someone who has. You tie your boat carefully to his dock, using knots taught to you by master rope workers in Babylon. These knots hold securely, but can be released quickly, perfect for boats that must move with the gentle motion of floating gardens. Nabu Ramani's garden is organized in careful sections, each area dedicated to plants with similar needs or purposes. Near the water's edge, where the soil stays consistently moist, he grows marshland herbs like sweet flag and yellow iris. These plants have been used by Assyrian healers since the time of Hammurabi, their roots and rhizomes prized for treating digestive ailments and calming anxious minds. In slightly drier areas, raised a few inches higher on carefully mounded soil, he cultivates Mediterranean herbs that came to Assyria through ancient trade routes. Here you see oregano and thyme, rosemary, and sage, plants whose seeds traveled thousands of miles along caravan paths connecting the civilized world. Come, Nabu Ramani says gently. Let me show you how we prepare the soil for such demanding plants. He leads you to a section where new planting beds are being prepared. The floating garden soil is not ordinary earth, but a carefully constructed growing medium that has taken months to prepare. The base layer consists of water plants and reeds that have been allowed to decay slowly underwater, creating a rich compost that provides nutrition while remaining light enough to float. Above this organic foundation, layers of fine silt have been added, carried from the banks of distant rivers during flood seasons. This silt contains minerals essential for plant growth, nutrients deposited by waters that have travelled hundreds of miles through fertile farmlands. The secret, Nabu Rimani explains in his soft voice, is patience. Each layer must settle completely before the next is added. The plants themselves help bind the soil together, their roots creating a living foundation that grows stronger each season. You kneel beside him, running your fingers through the dark, rich soil. It feels different from ordinary earth, lighter, more alive somehow. Small earthworms tunnel through it, their movements keeping the soil aerated and fertile. These worms were introduced deliberately, their eggs carried from the finest agricultural lands and carefully established in each new garden. Nabu Rimani shows you seedlings of plants you recognize from your studies, but growing here with a vigor you have never seen on ordinary land. A young myrrh bush displays leaves of brilliant green, its stems already showing signs of the resinous sap that floating gardens provide perfect conditions, he explains, his hands gently touching the young plant. The soil never becomes waterlogged because excess moisture drains naturally into the canal. But it never becomes too dry because water is always available just below the surface. The roots can reach exactly as much moisture as they need. Nearby, a section of the garden is devoted to plants used for women's health. Herbs, traditionally gathered and prepared by the wise women of Assyrian communities. Here grows pennyroyal and wild carrot, blue cohosh and red raspberry leaf, plants whose properties have been known and treasured for thousands of years. Nabu Rimani's wife, Ninlil Keenum, approaches from across the garden. She moves with the same unhurried grace as her husband, her arms carrying a woven basket filled with freshly harvested herbs. Her hair is covered with a soft blue headcloth, and her simple linen dress is practical and comfortable for garden work. The morning harvest is especially good today, she says, her voice musical and calm. The plants seem to know that visitors are coming. They offer their best medicine when they sense it will be truly needed. She shows you her basket's contents, each herb carefully selected at the perfect moment for maximum potency. Calendula flowers glow like small suns, their petals at full golden maturity. Chamomile flowers are picked just as their centers begin to show, ensuring the perfect balance of oils and active compounds. We harvest according to lunar cycles, Ninlil Kinnan explains, settling gracefully beside the basket. Flowers and leaves are gathered during the waxing moon when plant energies flow upward. Roots and barks are collected during the waning moon, when energies concentrate in the underground parts. This ancient knowledge represents centuries of careful observation, passed down through generations of plant workers who learned to read the subtle signs that indicate perfect harvesting times. Each plant has its own rhythm, its own perfect moment when medicine is strongest and most balanced. You watch as Ninlil Kinum demonstrates the proper way to harvest chamomile. She uses small bronze scissors, cutting each flower stem cleanly just above a leaf node where new growth can emerge. Her movements are quick but gentle, causing no unnecessary damage to the plant or its neighbors. "Always leave more than you take," she says softly, her hands moving among the flowers with practiced skill. A plant that is harvested carefully will produce medicine all season long. But a plant that is stripped bare will weaken and may die. The garden teaches us that generosity toward growing things returns to us multiplied. The basket fills slowly with perfect specimens, each herb chosen with care and gratitude. You notice that Ninlil Kinum speaks quietly to each plant before harvesting, a whispered word of thanks and blessing that honors the life being taken for healing purposes. This practice connects her to the oldest traditions of plant medicine, when healers understood themselves as partners with the green world rather than its masters. Every Assyrian herbalist learns these courtesies, recognizing that plants are willing allies in the work of healing, deserving respect and gratitude for their gifts. "Always leave more than you take," she says. A gentle breeze moves across the floating garden, carrying the mingled fragrances of dozens of medicinal plants. The scent is complex and beautiful. Layers of aroma that speak of different plant families and their unique healing properties. You identify familiar scents. The sharp, clean smell of mint family plants, the sweet spiciness of umbellifers like fennel and dill, the resinous fragrance of Mediterranean herbs that store their oils in tiny leaves designed to withstand hot summers and cool winters. But there are other scents too, more subtle and mysterious, plants from distant regions that have found homes in these carefully tended, floating gardens. Nabu Ramani points to a section where exotic specimens from the mountains of Persia grow beside natives of the Mesopotamia. "Traders bring us seeds and cuttings from their journeys," he explains, his voice filled with wonder at the diversity. "Some plants fail to adapt, but others thrive beyond anything we expected. The floating gardens seem to provide conditions that allow plants from many different climates to grow together in harmony. This diversity makes each floating garden a living library, a collection of medicinal knowledge from across the known world." Herbalists travel great distances to study these gardens, learning about plants they could never grow in their own regions, discovering new combinations and preparations that expand the possibilities of healing. You spend the morning moving slowly through different sections of the garden, learning about plants and their cultivation, listening to stories. The sun climbs higher, but its heat is moderated by the cooling effect of so much water. The floating gardens remain comfortable even as the surrounding landscape begins to shimmer with heat. This natural air conditioning is another advantage of growing plants on water, creating microclimates that protect delicate species from temperature extremes. Ninlil Kinum invites you to sit with her in the shade of a young date palm. This garden has taught me patience above all else, she says, settling comfortably on a woven mat beneath the palm's shade. In ordinary farming, we fight against soil and weather, trying to force plants to grow where they may not want to be. But here, we work with natural forces, creating conditions where plants can express their true nature. You sip the flavored water slowly, feeling its cooling effect spread through your body. The honey comes from bees that feed on the garden's diverse flowers, their complex diet creating honey with subtle flavors and enhanced medicinal properties. These bees are another partner in the floating garden's ecosystem, essential pollinators that ensure continued plant reproduction. The afternoon heat builds gently, encouraging a natural slowness in all activities. You help Ninlil Kanum spread freshly harvested herbs on drying racks. Wooden frames stretched with fine linen that allows air to circulate while protecting delicate plant materials from direct sunlight. Each herb is arranged carefully, leaves separated so air can reach all surfaces. Flowers spread in single layers to ensure even drying. This process will take several days. Time during which the herb's moisture will evaporate slowly while their essential oils and active compounds concentrate. Proper drying is as important as proper growing, Ninlil Kanum explains, adjusting the position of chamomile flowers on their drying cloth. Too much heat destroys delicate compounds. Too little air allows mold to develop. We must find the balance that preserves medicine while removing moisture. The drying racks are positioned in an area that receives morning sun but afternoon shade. Protected from rain by a simple awning that can be adjusted as weather conditions change. This attention to detail ensures that dried herbs maintain their potency for many months, providing medicine long after the growing season has ended. As the afternoon progresses, other herbalists arrive by boat to visit the garden, each one welcomed warmly by Nabu Ramani and his wife. These visitors come seeking specific plants, sharing knowledge about preparations and applications, trading seeds and cuttings to expand the diversity of their own gardens. You listen to their quiet conversations, learning about healing successes and challenging cases, discovering new uses for familiar plants, and hearing about exotic species from distant lands. This informal network of plant knowledge spans the entire region, connecting herbalists in villages and cities throughout the Assyrian territories. One visitor, an elderly woman named Bao Gamil, has travelled from a mountain village near the Persian border. She carries carefully wrapped bundles of seeds from high-altitude plants, species that might adapt to the unique conditions of the floating gardens. These seeds come from plants that grow where snow touches the peaks, she explains, unwrapping small packets with trembling but careful hands. The medicine is very strong, concentrated by the thin air and intense sunlight. Perhaps in your floating paradise, they will share their healing gifts with us. Nabu Remani examines the seeds with great interest, discussing the growing requirements and potential applications of each species. Some seeds will be planted immediately. Others will be stored until conditions are perfect for germination. Every seed represents possibility, a chance to expand the garden's healing potential. The exchange of knowledge continues as afternoon shadows begin to lengthen across the water. You realize that these floating gardens are more than agricultural experiments. They are centers of learning and community, places where ancient wisdom is preserved and new discoveries are shared freely among those dedicated to healing. As evening approaches, the activities in the garden slow to an even gentler pace. The harvest work is completed. The drying herbs are safely arranged. The seeds are carefully stored. Nabu Remani walks with you back to your boat, moving slowly across his floating island. In the soft light of late afternoon, every plant seems to glow with inner vitality. The garden radiates peace and abundance, a testament to what is possible when human wisdom works in harmony with natural forces. Return whenever you wish, he says, as you untie your boat from his dock. The garden changes with every season, and there is always more to learn. The plants themselves will teach you, if you learn to listen with patience and attention. You push away from the dock slowly, your boat moving gently into the main channel. Behind you, the floating garden continues its quiet existence, a living library where ancient knowledge grows alongside healing plants, where human wisdom and natural forces work together to create medicine and beauty. The water carries you forward, peaceful and supportive, as the day's experiences settle into memory. You have learned much, but more importantly, you have felt the deep peace that comes from working in harmony with the living world. Your boat moves slowly through channels now familiar, past other floating gardens where evening activities are winding down, where gardeners are securing their plants against the night's cooler temperatures, where the day's work is being gently completed. The soft sounds of water against your boat's hull create a soothing rhythm, accompanied by the evening songs of marsh birds returning to their roosts in the reed beds. Everything in this floating world moves according to natural rhythms, unhurried and peaceful, following cycles as old as life itself. Your breathing slows, becomes deeper, more relaxed. The gentle motion of your boat, the soft sounds of evening on the water, the lingering fragrance of medicinal herbs, all combine to create a perfect sense of peace and well-being. You pole your boat slowly, dreamily, through channels lined with floating gardens, now settling into evening calm. The water reflects the soft colours of approaching sunset, creating a world of gentle beauty where ancient wisdom continues to grow and flourish. Your eyelids grow heavy, and the gentle motion of water carries you forward into the gathering dusk. You drift toward whatever peaceful encounters await you, feeling completely safe, completely calm, completely at peace. You drift into a deep, restful sleep. Chapter 3: The Village Elders' Healing Tea. Ancient wisdom in clay and steam. You glide gently toward the village, where soft smoke rises from cooking fires and evening preparations have begun. The floating village appears gradually through the evening mist, a collection of reed huts and wooden platforms connected by narrow bridges and boat channels. Lanterns begin to flicker in windows, their warm light reflecting on the calm water like scattered stars. Your boat moves slowly through the village's outer channels, past floating platforms where families tend small gardens and children play quiet games in the gathering dusk. The sounds of evening life drift across the water. Gentle voices, the soft clatter of cooking pots, the distant laughter of children being called in for supper. At the village centre, a larger platform serves as a meeting place, its surface covered with woven mats and surrounded by low benches. Here, village elders gather each evening to share news, resolve disputes, and pass down the ancient stories that preserve their community's wisdom. You guide your boat toward the dock beside this central platform, where several other boats are already moored. Other herbalists have gathered here, drawn by word that Umurakased, the eldest healer in the village, wishes to demonstrate an ancient tea preparation that has been nearly forgotten. Umurakased is perhaps 80 years old, her hair silver white beneath a simple headcloth, her movements slow but precise with the accumulated grace of many decades. She sits cross-legged on a thick cushion, surrounded by an array of clay pots, bronze implements, and baskets of carefully selected herbs. "Welcome, young healers," she says, her voice soft but carrying clearly across the platform. "Tonight, we prepare the evening peace tea, a blend known to the herbalists of ancient Sumer, but practiced now by only a few. Come, sit beside me and learn what your grandmother's grandmothers knew." You tie your boat carefully and step onto the platform, joining a small circle of healers who have gathered to learn this ancient preparation. The group is diverse. Young apprentices like yourself, middle-aged practitioners, and a few elders who remember fragments of the old knowledge. The platform is lit by oil lamps, burning fragrant sesame oil, their steady flames protected from evening breezes by carefully placed reed screens. The warm light creates an intimate atmosphere, perfect for the quiet concentration required for precise herbal work. Murukasid's collection of implements represents generations of accumulated tools. Each Umurukasid's collection of implements represents generations of accumulated tools, each piece chosen for its specific purpose in plant preparation. A marble mortar and pestle, worn smooth by countless grinding sessions. A collection of bronze knives, their edges maintained with careful sharpening. Clay strainers of different mesh sizes, each one perfect for filtering particular types of plant materials. The evening peace tea requires 7 herbs, she begins, her hands moving among the baskets to select ingredients. Each herb serves a different purpose, but all work together to calm the nervous system, ease the mind, and prepare the body for deep, healing sleep. She lifts the first basket, containing dried flowers of German chamomile. These flowers are perfect specimens, their white petals pristine, their yellow centers intact and aromatic. Chamomile is the foundation, she explains, gentle enough for children, strong enough to calm the most troubled minds. The second herb is lemon balm, its heart-shaped leaves still green despite careful drying. The leaves release their citrusy fragrance when Umuruk acid crushes them gently between her fingers. Lemon balm soothes anxiety. Especially lavender flowers comprise the third ingredient. Their purple buds harvested at exactly the right moment of bloom. Even dried, they retain the complex fragrance that makes lavender one of the most valued plants for promoting rest and relaxation. English merchants bring us the finest lavender, Umuruk Hasid notes, but our local wild lavender works equally well when properly prepared. The fourth herb surprises some of the younger healers. Dried orange peel from fruits that travelled the long trade routes from distant Mediterranean groves. The peel has been carefully removed in long strips, then dried slowly to preserve its essential oils. Citrus peel settles the stomach and lifts the spirits, important for those whose sleep problems come from digestive troubles or deep sadness. Passion flower makes up the fifth ingredient, its distinctive leaves and tendrils, recognizable even in dried form. This climbing vine has been used by healers throughout the known world for its remarkable ability to quiet racing thoughts and calm physical tension. Passion flower is especially helpful for those who cannot stop their minds from working when their bodies are ready for rest. The sixth herb is catnip, its soft grey-green leaves producing a gentle minty fragrance when crumbled. Though cats love this plant to distraction, humans find it wonderfully soothing and calming. Never judge an herb by how animals respond to it. Umuruk Hasid advises with a gentle smile. Catnip makes cats wild with joy, but brings humans deep peace. The seventh and final ingredient is perhaps the most precious. Dried flowers of the night-blooming cereus. A cactus flower that blooms only one night each year. These flowers must be gathered in complete darkness, their medicine strongest when they have never felt sunlight. Night flowers carry the moon's energy, the elder explains. They help us align with natural sleep rhythms that have been disrupted by too much exposure to artificial light. With all 7 herbs selected, Umuruk Hasid begins the careful process of creating the perfect blend. She measures each ingredient, not with scales or standard measures, but with the accumulated intuition of decades of practice. A pinch of this, a handful of that. Proportions adjusted based on subtle variations in the herb's appearance and fragrance. Blending herbs is like composing music, she says, her hands moving gracefully among the ingredients. Each herb has its own voice, its own strength. The art lies in creating harmony, where no single element dominates, but all work together to create something more beautiful than any could achieve alone. She demonstrates the proper way to crush dried herbs, using gentle pressure to release essential oils without destroying delicate plant structures. The marble mortar rings softly. As the pestle, the crushing process becomes a meditation. The rhythmic sound of pestle against marble, creating its own peaceful music. The fragrance that rises from the mortar is complex and wonderful. Layers of scent that speak of gardens and wild places, of plants that have given their essence willingly for human healing. As she works, Umuru Qasid shares stories of the herb's origins and traditional uses. She speaks of chamomile fields in ancient Egypt, where the flowers were sacred to the sun god Ra, of lavender growing wild on Mediterranean hillsides, where shepherds learned its calming properties by observing their flock's behavior in lavender-scented pastures. Each herb carries cultural memory as well as chemical medicine, connecting modern users with thousands of years of human experience with healing plants. This continuity of knowledge represents one of humanity's oldest and most valuable traditions, the careful observation and preservation of plant wisdom. When the herbs are properly crushed and blended, Umuru Qasid begins the water preparation. This too requires specific knowledge and careful attention. The water comes from a sacred spring, carried in special clay vessels that preserve its purity and mineral content. Water quality affects medicine as much as plant quality, she explains, pouring the clear water into a bronze pot designed specifically for tea preparation. Hard water interferes with extraction. Polluted water adds harmful elements. Only the purest water allows herbs to express their full healing potential. She places the bronze pot over a small fire built from specific woods. Aromatic trees whose smoke adds subtle notes to the tea's flavour, while providing their own gentle medicinal properties. Sandalwood and cedar are preferred, their smoke believed to carry prayers and healing intentions skyward. As the water heats, Umuru Qasid prepares the final elements needed for proper tea service. Clay cups are warmed beside the fire, ensuring that hot tea won't be shocked by cold ceramic. A fine bronze strainer is readied, its mesh fine enough to catch the smallest plant particles. Temperature is critical, she notes, as steam begins to rise from the heating water. Boiling water destroys